Hi everybody, I'm going to talk to you about mental illness today. I chose this topic because it kind of hits home for me. It's what drew me to psychology in the first place. I've always wanted to help people with mental illnesses because I have had a lot of mentally ill people in my family and I suffer from anxiety myself, so I've always wanted to, that's my dog, don't mind her. I've always wanted to help people that have mental illnesses. So I got all my information from the textbook and the lecture, of course. And so this is just kind of my overview of what's said there. So mental illness has been around since the beginning of recorded history, so since we started writing things down. The terms have changed a little bit, but they've always kind of referred to the same types of behavior as to what mental illness is. Some common aspects of mental illness are harmful behavior. So humans have a great instinct to survive. So when someone acts against that and goes and tries to harm themselves or even others, that's considered abnormal. Let's see, then there's unrealistic thoughts and perceptions. So this includes delusions and hallucinations. So delusions are thoughts that don't fit in with what the community thinks. So if a person's thoughts are not within the norm of society, then those are considered delusions. Hallucinations are when their perception doesn't match what the community perceives. So basically, when they're perceiving something that's completely different from what everybody else perceives, that's mental illness. And then there's inappropriate emotions, so extreme emotions or incorrect emotions. So like extreme fear, or incorrect emotions, so like when you should be sad, you're happy, or something like that. And then there's unpredictable behavior, so when someone shifts their emotions, behavior, or beliefs drastically and suddenly, that is mental illness as well. And there's 3 explanations of mental illness. First is biological, which is kind of the medical aspect of it, psychological, and the supernatural. So the biological explanation says we should treat mental illness like it was a disease. They think it's some sort of physical cause, like a brain malfunction, and they can be inherited, can come from injuries or consuming toxicants, that's what I'm trying to say. Let's see, then the psychological explanation is psychological experiences cause the illness. So if someone has a traumatic experience or something like that where there's extreme fear or something like that, that can cause the mental illness. And then there's the supernatural explanation, which claims that mysterious forces cause the illness. This is not really used today to explain, at least in the scientific world. Some people still have their supernatural beliefs, as always. But for the most part, we just use psychological and biological explanations, kind of a combination of the two. Let's see, I think that's all I wanted to say on that. One little note, psychotherapy is defined as any attempt to help a person with a mental disturbance, and kind of the difference between someone with a mental illness and someone who just wants to not be in trend or whatever is the mentally ill cannot abide by social norms versus choosing not to. Anyways, that's just kind of my brief overview of mental illness.